Hey fifth graders, today's flipped lesson is going to be on dialogue, and this will explain what is dialogue, how we can use it correctly in our writing, and how to use it to enhance our writing. Okay, so our learning target for this lesson is going to be I can use dialogue in my historical fiction writing. But before we start the actual lesson portion of this video, I just want to direct your attention to this scale. So as a fifth grader, you are going to aim for a 3 here. My story includes purposeful two-way dialogue that may have some errors in punctuation or paragraphing. Okay, so that's kind of like your expectation or what you want to aim for as a fifth grader. So, but if you were in sixth grade, this is where you would want to be at. My story includes purposeful two-way dialogue that is correctly punctuated and paragraphed most of the time. Okay, and then to continue, 2 would be fourth grade and 1 would be third grade. But like I said, we're going to shoot for a 3 here. Okay, so dialogue. What is it? Dialogue is a character talking, and it has quotes within the story. It's a conversation between 2 or more characters. It shows the thoughts and ideas of characters, and then also at the end of the dialogue, at the end of the quotes, it states and we can recognize who said that specific dialogue, okay? Or that quote. How can I use dialogue to make my story more interesting? Using dialogue, it can provide emotions and feelings to your story. It can give us a lot of information about the character or the specific situation in the story. It shows, not tells. Typically, you use a lot of figurative language. It reveals character traits, feelings, and motives. So we talked a lot about character development at the beginning of our drafting process, and I think that this is really important, right? Okay. And so 4 foreshadows events that drive the story, so it helps drive the plot. It helps compose more descriptive writing, which is a big one, okay? And then finally, it allows you to empathize with the character. It allows you to see more of the character and their feelings, their emotions, their actions, okay? How can I integrate purposeful dialogue into my text? So you include how a character is feeling through quotes. So here's an example. I am so sad, she cried out. It's telling you how the character is feeling. Dialogue helps you infer what a character would say to various actions. So if a character spills milk, dialogue that could match that would be, "Oops, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to spill milk on you." And then 3, use dialogue to show what is happening in the story rather than tell. Show, not tell. And then this little note down here just says dialogue that can contribute to the plot or that can contribute to the plot events in a story. Like I said, it helps foreshadow events that drive the story, and it helps us talk about like these actions that we had already discussed, like their feelings and how they would react to certain situations. So ways to use dialogue. For example, you can use dialogue at the beginning or end of a sentence. So this is just an example of how you could start a piece of dialogue at the beginning or the end of a sentence. So it says, Mr. Miller is a funny guy, said Sophie. Okay, and notice that the punctuation is in the quotes and then after, said Sophie, okay, to show the ending of a sentence. And then here's how you would use it in the middle of a sentence. The girl shouted, "Oh my!" and ran away. Again, notice that there is punctuation that kind of sets up the dialogue. So there's a comma before it, if it's in the middle of a sentence, the quotes, and then an exclamation point, and then another period at the end to show the end of a sentence. Okay, and then 3, in a broken quote. Oops, so that's mistake here. Since you didn't do your math homework, my teacher said, you will have to finish it at recess. So it's broken up here, meaning that, oh, you can't see it, it's a little bit off. There we go. So my teacher said is breaking the quote into two pieces. So since you didn't do your math homework, comma, with the quotes, my teacher said, comma, quotes again, you have to finish it at recess, period, quotes. Okay? And then some rules for using quotes. 1, for every new speaker, begin a new line, which is really important. So if we look at an example of my writing, Lily, you need to slow down, Bob called behind his daughter as they were biking towards Pearl Harbor. Dad, it's not my fault you're so slow, laughed Lily. See how I started a new line and I indented? That's how you're going to want to use quotes and dialogue in your writing. So the second rule is commas and periods go inside quotes. Like right here. You're going to have the exclamation point inside the quote, but then also a period over here to show the end of a sentence. And then 3, use commas to separate dialogue and the speaker. Like right here. Let's go to the mall, she stated. So there's a comma right here, and there's a period at the end of the sentence. Okay? And then every time you start a new set of like dialogue, you're going to capitalize the first letter of the spoken dialogue. So if you look at these examples, I is capitalized and L is capitalized, okay? So these are just a few rules to keep in mind as you're using dialogue, okay? So if we look back at our I can statement for this video, I can use dialogue in my historical fiction writing. If you use these tips that this video has talked about, you're going to have some really successful dialogue within your writing.